Hey everyone, welcome to Chasing Art. In my last video I kind of got off on a tangent and I drew a tree instead of clouds like I should have been working on. Whatever, sometimes these things happen. But after finishing that video up, I decided it was time to get back to clouds. So I think I finally ended up finding a style approach that actually really works well for me. The reason that I've been wanting to learn clouds and cloud structure and whatnot and how to get it on paper with graphite is because I had this picture that I wanted to do, and it's a picture that I took last summer. I'll throw it up on the screen here, but there was two things that I wanted to change about it. Number one, I wanted to change the light source, and number two, I wanted to add clouds to the sky because the sky's just kind of bland. It's just there. There's not a whole lot going on. It was a clear day, so I need to add something a little bit more dynamic for the background. I started watching a ton of videos on how to do clouds. Some of them weren't very helpful, but there were a few that were very helpful. And for some reason, I just couldn't wrap my head around how simple this would be to do. And then all of a sudden it clicked. And what you'll see is the technique that I ended up using. I do want to take a minute here just to say that this video is going to be part one of a 3-part series. I'm going to do the clouds in this video. I'll do the island and the lighthouse in the next video. And in the final video, I will do the water. So now with all that being said, let's get on with the video. Now for this technique, we're going to need some powdered graphite. And what I've been using is what ends up in the bottom of my pencil sharpener. This is the sharpener I use for my 2mm leads, so it has various grades of graphite in it. But it works good. It works great for this initial layer that I'm going to put down. Later on, I'll come back and I'll darken the sky up a little bit, but I just wanted to get my initial shapes in. And I'm just using a cheap number 8 brush to apply it. And yeah, this is the only thing this brush is used for. I don't want to contaminate any paint or anything with it, so this brush's whole purpose in life is just to apply graphite. And you can use other things to apply this with. You could use cotton balls, or you could use paper towel, bathroom tissue, Q-tips. You know, anything with a softer texture would probably work pretty good. I mean, I'm sure you could probably use a shirt or something if you wanted. I try to avoid using my finger just because I don't want the oils from my hands on it. I can't say for sure, but it seems like that would be counterproductive. Now, what I'm doing right now is I'm actually adding the sky, and the white that I'm going to leave is going to be the cloud formation. And it's going to be quite a large cloud. It's going to take up most of the background, so there's going to be very little sky here. But I do need the contrast between the two, so that way the cloud will pop a little bit more. You'll notice here in a little bit I'll go darker with the sky, and the darker I go with it, the whiter the cloud will look. But first I'm going to start getting some shape into the cloud itself. And I'm doing that the same way that I did the sky. I'm just using graphite on this paintbrush. Now I'm going to start refining the edges a little bit and get a little fluff to them. And I'm just using my kneaded eraser for this, just kind of dabbing at it, rolling it around, you know, getting some shape into it. And here's where I'm going to start darkening the sky up a little bit. I'm going at it a little bit different. I'm actually using my HB pencil on this. And essentially what I'm doing is I'm just putting down another layer of graphite because I knew I wanted it a little darker. So I laid that down, and then I'm going to come in with a piece of paper towel and blend everything in with that. See, I'm starting to commit more at this point, and even though I'm using a light touch on it, I feel like I'm pushing the graphite deeper into the tooth of the paper. And going back in to work on the interior shapes, I find that the blending stump works really good for this. Especially if it's a semi-clean one like this one is. I can kind of roll it around and I can get some interesting shapes put down. It's a lot more random than what I would probably do if I was to try to draw everything out. And even though there's a lot of structure to a cloud, if you look closer, they're pretty haphazard, so that's what I was kind of shooting for. Like I mentioned earlier, I want to change where the light source is coming from. In the original picture, the light source was coming from the right side, and in my drawing, I'd like it to be coming from the left side. So I have to convey that throughout the entire drawing, and that includes the clouds up here, obviously. So as I'm shaping these, I'm trying to make sure that what I'm thinking of as the lead edge of the cloud is also going to be the whitest or most highlighted. I'm going to add some graphite to the back side of the cloud here just to give it a little bit more shape. I kind of imagine this kind of rounding over on the back side, so there's going to be less light hitting it. But you see here in a second, I'll come back in and I'll lift out quite a few highlights. And you see, this is where I think this technique really shines, is because I put down graphite, but if I want to enhance shapes, then I can just dab at it with my kneadable eraser and it pulls the shapes right out, and then I can come back in and start defining the edges even more. And depending on how much graphite I've already put down, we'll start increasing the contrast and really start showing off the different layers of the formation. At this point, I felt like the cloud was just getting too cumbersome, so I needed to knock it back, kind of reshape it a little bit. So that's what I'm doing. And luckily, with this being a graphite drawing, it was quite easy to do. Everything blended in really well. I feel the shape that I ended up with was a lot more appealing than the blob that I started out with. And this is just going to be a continuation of what I've been doing all along anyway. I'll add graphite, and then to shape in the cloud, I'll remove graphite. And of course, I'm always keeping in mind where my light source is coming from. I generally just use this paintbrush for removing eraser dandruff, but in this case I actually was using it to introduce a little bit of graphite to the upper cloud and just kind of push it back a little bit and increase the contrast between the upper and lower clouds. And even though it was pretty subtle, it worked perfectly for what I was trying to achieve.